I remember the exact second I realized fear wasn't protecting me anymore. It was sitting beside me, quiet and familiar, like it always had been, just no longer on my side. Before we begin, please support MindShift stories by subscribing, liking the video, and leaving a comment. Your support helps us continue sharing meaningful stories with the world. I didn't grow up thinking of myself as a fearful person. If you had asked me back then, I would have said I was careful, practical, realistic. Fear in my mind was just another word for being responsible. It helped me avoid mistakes. It kept me from embarrassing myself. It made sure I didn't take risks I couldn't recover from. That belief followed me into adulthood. My life looked fine from the outside. I had a steady job, predictable routines, and relationships that stayed safely within boundaries. My mornings were structured. My evenings were quiet. I knew which streets to take home, which conversations to avoid at work, and which dreams to treat as not for now. Inside, though, I carried a constant low-level tension. Not panic, not anxiety, just a tightness, like something always needed monitoring. At work, I'd sit in meetings with ideas I never voiced. I'd think, someone else will say it, or it's not fully formed yet. In relationships, I kept emotional distance without calling it that. I told myself I was independent, self-contained, low drama. Fear was subtle. It didn't shout. It whispered reasonable things. Don't rock the boat. Don't overreach. Don't risk what's already stable. And I trusted it. The first crack appeared in a place I wasn't expecting, during a normal conversation with someone I'd known for years. We were sitting across from each other in a quiet cafe, the kind where the background noise is just loud enough to hide pauses. We talked about work, about mutual friends, about nothing important. Then casually, they asked me why I never talked about what I actually wanted to do next. The question landed heavier than it should have. I laughed it off, said something vague about being open to options, but I noticed how quickly my body reacted, my shoulders tightening, my breath changing. It felt like I'd almost been caught doing something wrong. On the walk home, that reaction stayed with me. Not the question itself, but how defensive I'd felt. The way fear had jumped in immediately, offering cover. They didn't mean anything by it. You're overthinking. There's no need to explain yourself. That night, I lay awake longer than usual. My thoughts circled something I didn't have language for yet. I kept replaying moments like that. Small questions, gentle opportunities, invitations I declined without really deciding. None of it was dramatic. That's what made it harder to notice. A few weeks later, I was offered a chance at work that I had quietly wanted for a long time. Not a promotion exactly, more like a shift. More responsibility, more visibility, more room to shape things instead of just maintaining them. When the email came in, my first feeling wasn't excitement. It was fear, immediate and physical. I stared at the screen, reading the same sentence over and over. My mind flooded with reasons it wasn't the right time. I wasn't ready. I didn't have all the skills yet. What if I failed publicly? What if people realized I wasn't as capable as they thought? What surprised me wasn't the fear itself. It was how automatic my rejection of the opportunity felt. I started drafting a polite response, already preparing to say no. And as I typed, a strange thought cut through everything else. I'm not even choosing. I'm just reacting. That realization stopped me. I didn't send the email. I closed my laptop and went for a walk instead. No music, no phone, just me and my thoughts, which felt louder than usual. I noticed how fear had always spoken first in my decisions, how quickly I deferred to it. I treated it like a senior advisor, experienced, cautious, wise. But walking there, I wondered something new. What if fear doesn't actually know what I need anymore? That question unsettled me more than any worst-case scenario. I sat on a bench and let memories surface. Times I'd avoided conversations, paths I hadn't explored, relationships I'd kept safely shallow. Fear hadn't ruined my life, it had just made it smaller. That was the turning point. Not a dramatic moment, no sudden courage, just a clear, uncomfortable awareness. I realized fear wasn't evil or broken. It had done its job before. It had protected me when I needed protection. But I never updated our agreement. I was still living like the same risks applied. When I got home, I reopened the email. My hands felt steady, but my chest was tight. I typed a response that surprised me. Not a confident yes, not a detailed plan, just an honest one. I am interested. I'm nervous, but I'd like to try. After sending it, I didn't feel relief. I felt exposed. Over the next few weeks, that feeling became familiar. I spoke up in meetings even when my voice wasn't perfectly calm. I noticed how fear would surge right before moments that mattered, and how it would fade afterwards, almost embarrassed. Some days I second-guessed everything. I worried I'd made a mistake, that I'd misread myself. Fear showed up then too, reminding me it was still around. But something had changed. I was listening to it differently. Instead of asking, how do I avoid this feeling, I started asking, what is this feeling trying to protect, and what is it preventing? That question shifted everything. Fear, I realized, isn't just about danger. It's about identity. It protects the version of ourselves we already understand. Anything that threatens that version, even growth, feels risky. That insight softened my relationship with it. I stopped fighting fear. I stopped waiting for it to disappear. I acknowledged it, thanked it, and moved forward anyway. Externally, not much changed. I didn't transform overnight. I didn't become fearless. But internally, my perspective shifted. I felt more present, more honest with myself, less trapped by assumptions I'd never questioned. In conversations, I noticed how often other people were doing the same thing, deferring to their fears while calling it logic. I felt more empathy, less frustration. Human behavior started making more sense. Fear wasn't the enemy. Unexamined fear was. The real lesson wasn't about being brave. It was about awareness, about noticing who's making your decisions and why. Now, when fear shows up, I don't treat it like a warning sign or a stop signal. I treat it like information, something to be considered, not obeyed. And sometimes when I feel that familiar tightness, I pause and ask myself one simple question. If fear wasn't speaking right now, what would I choose? I don't always like the answer, but it's honest. And that honesty has quietly changed the direction of my life.